First, we need to move the predator into a feeding space. This reticulated python weighs over 150 pounds, and it is agitated because it's hungry. Due to the danger, I'm steering clear of the head.
Okay, we're gonna give her a minute to just take it in.
Snake breeder and handler Kevin McCurley has cared for this animal its whole life.
And it's a pretty feisty snake.
These are very defensive strikes, so she just basically just needs to realize nothing bad's happening.
Okay, now it's the part for some science.
The python is fed 40 pounds of food every month. Today, it's being offered a dead pig and a dead rodent, just the type of prey a reticulated python would choose live in the wild.
This is pretty exciting, and to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous, mostly that we get this. Oh, got it.
Yes.
Okay, this is a good sign. She got her first coils around the snake. Is the sensor gonna pick that up?
Oh, yeah, we got it.
Kevin is shaking the pig to emulate the movement of a live, struggling prey. This helps the python maintain its feeding response.
As it gets that coil around, it begins contracting its muscles, and they generate tremendous crush pressure or circumferential pressure.
170 millimeters of mercury.
Almost twice mean pressure in a mammal.
Oh my gosh.
It's like taking a dishcloth and wringing it out. That's circumferential pressure.
Okay,
It's going higher. It's going higher. We're like 250.
oh my gosh, that's really high.
A healthy blood pressure reading for a human is 120 millimeters of mercury. The pressure inside the pig is already double that, at 250 millimeters. It's enough to cause fainting, a stroke, or even death in most mammals.
It's not that the snake is actually suffocating its prey.
It doesn't seem to
It's
be.
doing something completely different.
It's causing essentially obstructive shock of the circulatory system. We see pressures that simply exceed the ability of the heart to compress. So all of that pressure is focused, and it turns out right in the center of that is the heart. As soon as it gets that pressure above the pressure that the heart uses to eject blood, the heart can't eject blood any longer.
That can actually cause the animal to pass out within 10, 20 seconds.
So a little bit like somebody giving you a headlock and you're cutting your brain off from oxygen.
Yes.
The power of the snake is stunning. Scott and Chuck's computer tells us the pressure being exerted is still rising.
It's going higher. It's going higher. Right.
300 millimeters of mercury.
That's 3 times normal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, buddy. I mean, you could actually hear it. The bones were breaking.
The python has been constricting its prey for 12 and a half minutes. Finally, the pressure being exerted is now dropping. The sensor can now be safely removed.
We recorded almost 300 millimeters of mercury crush pressure. That may be on the lower end. This animal may be capable of much greater crush forces.
Is there a way for someone to understand how this pressure feels?
Take an average blood pressure cuff. Most times, it's probably somewhere between 140 and 160 millimeters of mercury.
And it starts to hurt.
Well, you'll notice, of course, that your hand has no blood flow at that point. And it'll start to tingle if they leave the cuff on. Triple that and place that either around your neck or your thorax to get an idea of what's going on.
Chuck and Scott's data shows these snakes can exert more than enough pressure to stop a mammal's heart. It's a horrifying thought, but I can take some small comfort from knowing that Akbar was probably rendered unconscious within seconds, limiting his suffering. Kevin feels that man-eating snake attacks are not something we will see very often because of a human's relatively large size.
Once it ingests that big meal, now it's vulnerable to being seen. It can't go down a hole. It can't hide. That animal is no longer mobile. It actually makes way better sense to remain cryptic, eat smaller prey. You can eat a whole bunch of small items versus one big giant thing. Snakes don't want to eat people.
This reinforces my suspicion that Akbar was sitting at the time of the attack, minimizing his apparent body size. I believe the snake mistook Akbar for a smaller mammal.
Once a snake has caught and killed a human, can it actually consume it?
This footage of a wild boar being eaten shows exactly what a python is capable of. The snake easily stretches its mouth around the large prey, so we know a large python could swallow a human.